Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Pagan Book Club. Yeah, we're not gonna make a theme or anything. That would be weird. Oh, it didn't change the stuff on the what is it called on the Twitch side. So let me just fix that before we get started. Anyone think we're playing Minecraft? We're sorry, guys. Adding. There we go. All right. We've got a couple people from the server here. I'm also going to keep ahead in the server just to make sure. Oops, nope. All right. Okay, I should be able to turn on Legend and Menelaus. You guys should be able to talk now.
Hello.
Hello.
Awesome, Blossom. All right, and anyone, I put the link in the Discord, so if anyone else wants to join us, you absolutely can, because we would love to have you. I'm going to turn my screen so I can keep an eye on the chat. But this time we are doing, as for the past, Greek Religion by Walter Burkert. And we're doing sections 27, 28, and 29, which is Aphrodite, Hermes, and Persephone. And that is a lot. So I feel like Aphrodite's the longest. I feel like we can take like 30 minutes for her. What do you guys think?
That's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. There goes the timer. All right. I also have the notes up. Do you guys have the notes?
I have them up.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I added all my notes in like right before. So, and as always, if you out there peoples want to ever join the book club, you just have to go and join our Discord. And that's where you get a copy of the book as well as the link to the notes. So welcome. So let's see. We're talking about Aphrodite. So I just wrote in, per what we were doing before, we're going to kind of glaze over the myth section because especially with Demeter. You've all heard that one 300 times. I was like, we're not doing this. But I put in the different, I guess these are epithets or different names for Aphrodite. So the joyous consummation of sexuality, aphrodisia, which we can clearly see the connection between that and aphrodisiac. And aphrodisiac. You're just laughing at me now. How is it? Thank you. And so that denotes the act of love. I'm not sure if they're alluding to like spicy or just like I love you with that one. Because they separated the sexuality from that. So I don't know if either of you know any more about the epithets or not.
No.
Alrighty. Oh my god, my notes are so small. Hold on, will I increase my thing to 125 because I'm blind? Okay. Let me increase. Actually, that's a good size for the stream. So it also goes on to say, where is it? The old abstract noun for sexual desire, Eros, which is masculine by grammatical gender, becomes the god Eros, son of Aphrodite. And then I didn't know about this one, yearning, Himeros. I didn't even know we had that. Had you guys heard of? And I think a lot of people have heard of Eros, but not Himeros. Did you guys know about that before this?
I've never heard of them before.
We learned something. That's what kind of the book is about. That's the entire reason for the book club.
Yeah.
Oh my god, don't die.
Sorry.
I mean, no, you can cough, just don't die. So when there's when they said both are portrayed as winged youths and also later as child, I don't know what putti is. But are they?
Oh my god, I know what putti are. I'm sorry for cutting
What
off.
is it? What is it?
So, have you you see this in a lot of art of Dionysus?
Huh?
If you have you ever seen naked babies like
Oh, they're
not with wings or
cherubs. Yeah.
anything? No, not cherubs.
Oh, they're
Cherubs have
different.
wings. Putti are just fat naked babies, usually on the ground. And so, putti. Oh my god, you're writing that in. Putti.
I did.
They represent, like, how do I say this? Like desire and just like I guess you could say quote unquote sinful desires, kind of like carnal desires, which is why they're always around Dionysus in very old art. And then I think it was during the Renaissance period where Christianity had a big influence, and artists were like, "No, we can't do this anymore." So they gave them wings, made them cuter, and started calling them cherubs.
Oh, that's
And they
awesome.
would symbolize the exact opposite, so purity and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll figure out how
I
to
can
write
be
this
helpful.
later. Okay. If there's at all a source for that, I would love that because that's hilarious.
Yeah, I'll try that.
That'd be great. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, they're portrayed as like winged youths and later on child Puta. I was like, my brain immediately went to cherubs, which I guess is kind of in the right place, but not the way I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. Let's see. Then I wrote there. Scroll down too far. I'm writing other gods. There are clearly. Let me also scroll down what's being shown here. So
No,
I
it's not
don't
during
know
the
why I
Renaissance.
started doing like sections. Sorry, what?
That I'm talking to myself. It was during the Baroque era where they started turning cherubs.
That's interesting. They didn't cover that in my art history class in college. That's actually interesting. They're saying like Aphrodite. There clearly stands the ancient Semitic goddess of love, Ishtar. And I actually took a course, not a course, like a class on different female goddesses. To which I remember them bringing up Ishtar actually. So Ishtar, I'm just gonna go with Ishtar, divine consort of the king, queen of heaven, and Hatera. Do you know what that is, Menelaus?
Hetera?
Do you know what? Yeah, do you know what that is though?
No.
Google. I'm gonna Google it live. Oh, a courtesan in ancient Greece, akin to the modern geisha. I don't know. I wouldn't call geisha modern, but okay. Oops. Put that in the notes here.
Does someone have like a child or a little sister or something?
That is me who has a 4-year-old running around.
It is Menelaus' adorable munchkins.
That's so nice. You have a kid? That's so
Yes.
cute. Aw.
The decisive evidence, however, comes from the correspondences in the cult and iconography, which go beyond mere sexuality. This deity is androgynous. There is an Ishtar with a beard and a male Ashtar beside. Oh my God, I'm gonna fuck this up. Would you mind, Menelaus? Because I'm gonna say these horribly, and I'm gonna get
There's a bearded Aphrodite and a male Aphroditos beside Aphrodite. Astarte is called Queen of Heaven, just as Aphrodite is called the heavenly Urania. Astarte is worshipped with incense altars and dove sacrifices, as is Aphrodite and Aphrodite alone. Which I think is interesting that like dove specifically is called out as like
Yeah.
sacred to her.
I
Ishtar is also. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. No, I also love that. I love that it was like very like, in case you were confused, this is legit Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Continue.
And then Ishtar is. I just lost my spot. Sorry. Um, Ishtar is also a warrior goddess, and again, Aphrodite may be armed and bestow victory. If, moreover, there is prostitution in the Aphrodite cult, then the most notorious characteristic of the Ishtar Astarte cult is taken over. Connection with the garden and the sea is also present in both cases. In the process of transmission from east to west, the part was probably played by frontal representations of the naked goddess, such as are encountered primarily in small objects, on ornamental pieces and gold pendants. Perhaps it's for this reason Aphrodite is called the Golden. In the Mycenaean text, there is no trace of Aphrodite. The famous gold leaf figures from the third shaft grave are without parallel.
Wait. Okay. Oh, you went further than I did. But I did want to actually reference the golden thing as well, because they go, cat, please stop. Because they noted like there's like they talk about the statues later too. So yeah, I actually was going to point out the dove thing too. Actually, you got ahead of me there. I thought it was really cool that like Aphrodite is associated so like akinly, I guess, to Ishtar and Urania, and Astarte. I can't say words. But so I guess there's a Ishtar and the male sign is Ashtar. Is that what they're saying? You guys have anything to do about that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we keep running into these like double stories. Like it's been all over the different chapters. And I love that they mentioned that I guess well, first they mentioned Ishtar is also a warrior goddess, but then they were like, yeah, Aphrodite is also a warrior goddess. In case you guys forgot, because like there's that that passionate side to love as well, and like in my opinion, the greatest wars that were ever fought about love. But that's just me.
Yeah, I feel like people kind of forget about that aspect of Aphrodite. I mean, it's how like
It's
love
all
and
love and
flowers until
light.
there's a literal war being fought. You know, like
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people forget that because they're like, oh, it's Aphrodite, it's doves and pink and like love and light. And then it's like, rah, I will start a
yeah,
war and murder you because I love this bitch.
and even like forgetting the war stuff. Like love is such a powerful feeling. It can literally make you like do crazy shit. Like
I
the
I have heard this, yes.
yeah.
I've never done anything stupid for love.
I
No,
mean,
not
hey,
at all.
yeah.
No, me
But
neither.
it happens. But
I never stalked someone in middle school. Oh, no one should have given me the internet, man. I know how to do way too many things to get myself in trouble with it. Um, but yeah, I really love that they mentioned that. Burkert mentioned that as well. Yeah. I wonder. There, they were saying that there's that connection with the garden and with the sea. Another like double, like not really parallel. They'll just other. I lost where my place was. 218. Oh, I'm on 217. There we go. And of course they mentioned the Trojan War. So, um, I don't want to go too fast. So, is there anything else before we go on? Because next thing up I have is going into that double birth story.
I have nothing to add.
Nope.
Although actually I just noticed of 218, but I think I noted it later, was the mention of Hephaestus. And I love that they say that it this way in the song which Demodocus. Oh, that's the one I know how to say. Sings to the Phoenicians. Look, I can word, Menelaus. Um, the seductress finally falls victim to her own wiles. I love that phrase. Like, so of course she's married to Aphrodite, and then she's having like the secret affair with Ares. I mean, I think they were poly, but that's just me. And yeah, any comments on the little triangle going on?
No, I like the poly theory myself.
Thank you. I think it's maybe it was a word that didn't exist at the time. Because wasn't I don't know the historical accuracy of um, polyamory, and that's way too deep in this one. So okay, the double birth story. So of course we know the one where I mean I assume you guys know. I think it's the more popular one that Uranus, the whole fighting with Kronos, the chopping of certain bits, and those were the sea, and then Aphrodite steps out of the sea foam, and henceforth is the foam-born goddess.
Yeah.
But huh?
Oh, yeah. I was just saying. Yeah, I know that one.
I think that's the more popular one.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of artwork made from it, and
Yeah. I mean,
everyone cites that as the birth of Aphrodite. So
I mean,
I didn't even
it's
know there was an
ocean.
ultimate one.
Yeah, there is. It's where she's the daughter of Zeus and Dion. How do I say this?
Dione, I think.
Dion. Thank you. A resident Greek vocabulary expert. That I am extremely grateful for it. Y'all, I mean, you know what I sound like when I read it. We changed books for heaven's sakes. But yeah, there's one where she's the daughter of Dione and Zeus, and like Hera's like, motherfucker again? And then Zeus is like, I'm gonna take this baby and make sure it's okay. Basically. And it goes into that in the on 219 a little bit. I actually was surprised they didn't go more in depth, to be honest. Because the rest of the book has gone so in depth in all of the myth. This one's lesser known, so I don't even know how much is known about it. But Menelaus, do you remember how Zeus kept Aphrodite safe? I want to see.
I don't. I thought she was born like, and then just kind of hid in Cyprus, like chilled in Cyprus or something.
Oh, I thought Zeus took her away and just threw her in Cyprus for her own safety.
No, because her birthplace is like in Cyprus. I've been there. It's beautiful. I think
That's the foam-born myth. Yeah. It says, thence to Cyprus, where she stepped ashore, an awesome, beautiful foam-born Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's different. But regardless, I'd want not necessarily the nitty-gritty of the story, but specifically the fact that she has two stories. And they don't explain this, so this is kind of annoying to me. Again, I wish they went into more detail on this one, because they say that in regards to the second birth story, in this count, she's older than the Olympian gods at the very first cosmic differentiation, the separation of heaven and earth, and the power of union. The separation of heaven and earth, the power of union also emerged. So when heaven and earth were like two different things, then like they had to be the third thing of like the option to be together, I guess. So that's what I kind of got from that. I don't know. It was very not in depth. But I mean, I love all the doubles. We had doubles with Dionysus. We had doubles with shoot, who else? Oh, Athena has a bunch of doubles. Doesn't Apollo also have a double story? There's
Not
just tons of
sure.
double birth stories, which I super jive with. I love this kind of idea that Aphrodite was born from like the pure cosmic. That where there's divide, there is also union. And then okay, I'm gonna move forward here. Aphrodite's Homeric epithet, Philomedes.
Philomedes.
Philomedes? Yeah? Did I get it
Philomedes.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
Philomedes. Darn.
Or it could be these. I
Close.
don't know. I'd have to see how it's written in Greek.
Yeah, that's kind of. I wish they kind of had both in here, to be honest. Because then we could definitely be sure. But laughter loving. I've never heard that
Ooh,
epithet.
that's nice.
Right? I know that there's. I have to look it up now. But yeah, I've never heard that before. I know that there's like, the seven types of love in Greece, 7 or 8, something like that. Yeah. So I guess these would be the children of Aphrodite. I'm just gonna throw it in here. Um. So there's Eros, which is sexual passion, Philia, which is deep friendship, Ludus, playful love, Agape, which is love for like everyone, like your fellow man, Pragma, which is long-standing love, Philatia, which is love of the self, Storge, I don't know, family love, and big surprise, Mania, obsessive love. So I've never heard Aphrodite having the epithet of laughter loving, but I thought that was amazing to put in. I actually realized I forgot to copy it. Because I feel like we forget that love is more than romantic.
Right.
Um, I I was kind of like, yay, and then I read the next bit, which is in its word formation, a reshaping of Hesiod's Philomedes to her belong male genitals. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Oh, look, it's so sweet and wholesome. They also go into talking about the unabashed. I'm gonna jump to 220, like the middle of 220. Um, the second full paragraph. Unabashed acceptance of sexuality is, however, not a matter of course even in Greece. I went too far on my notes. In the 4th century, you find Aphrodite separated into two aspects: the higher celestial love, Aphrodite Urania, and the love of the whole people, Aphrodite Pandemos, who was responsible for the lower sexual life, in particular prostitution. Um, it's interesting to me that they split the two. And that Aphrodite herself seems to be split in so many directions as well. Thoughts?
I kind of don't want to say anything because I'm not well versed in the realm of Aphrodite, but I feel like that makes sense because it's like there are different types of love and way to like convey love, right? So I think it does make sense that she's kind of split up to represent those different types of love because like um the love you might show to like your husband or something might not be
Mm-hmm.
the same kind of love that you show to a best friend, but those are two like deep and like profound feelings, but they probably can't really be grouped up into the same kind of category. You know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I just didn't want to be the one to say it.
Oh.
I talk a lot on these streams. I want someone else to say something.
Yeah.
No, and I think that circles back around to the inclination of the in my in Menelaus agreeing the polyamory. That was one of the things I had to actually explain to one of my best friends at the time when I went to go tell her, hey, I'm polyamorous. I'm like, I'm dating somebody, and she was like, what? And she was like, but like, how can you love more than one person? I'm like, well, how do you love your family and then your friends and then your boyfriend?
Mhm.
And right, and it's this idea that we have different, like you said, different sides of love. And I love that. I love also that in ancient, because that's been I could give TED Talks in my furiousness of annoyance of how Aphrodite, I think in more modern pop culture, gets pigeonholed into romantic love. And
Exactly.
yeah, that really kind of annoyed me like a super bunch. I was like, there's more to love than that. um
I
Yeah,
think
there's so much more to her than just like romantic love, and I think also people maybe just think like it's all about sexuality, which there is a good chunk of it that is sexuality, and obviously love and sexuality are very much go hand in hand. But I don't think like Aphrodite represents either one necessarily in itself. She represents all love and all
right.
forms of that.
I just kind of
yeah,
think we as a society is because a lot. I guess this is like a Western point of view because I don't know anything else. But you're, I feel like we as a society are kind of it's either romantic or it's not, and we don't really have any like gray area or
yeah, we
any
don't have
room to like
room.
think about friendship or queer platonic relationship or familial. It's either romance or not, and then your family like a totally different league because they birthed you or whatever. So I feel like that's also in part how
I feel
we
like the love
think.
for family is more inspired as like a sense of duty or loyalty as opposed to
Yeah,
a
yeah, exactly.
yeah, and I hate that because you're right, it doesn't leave. And I think I saw a TikTok about this too, actually, like a while ago, that I was like, yes, queen. Where they were talking about that, like no one, it seems like a lot of people don't leave room, like you said, to nurture those other kinds of love.
Hmm.
Honestly, I think if I may pull us into like socioeconomic political shit for a minute, I think that is honestly the one of the biggest problems I have, besides the sheer lack of respect for like anything that's not yours in the Western society. I think my second biggest problem is that we very much not, I would say we not only just don't talk about it, I would say it's almost discouraged to work on any other type of love
Right,
besides your romantic partner.
exactly.
Yeah,
And it's
go
oh
ahead.
sorry. I was just thinking because like in our society, it's very weird to show any kind of affection to someone who isn't either not even family, anyone who isn't a romantic partner. If you hold your hand in public, if you hold your mom's hand in public, it's embarrassing and it's emasculating or whatever. If you hug your friend, people think you're dating, and if you're not, then they look at you weird, and it's just it's very strange.
I have to say it's really interesting also because I'm Armenian and I know very little about my culture other than the very, very weird things my parents taught me. One of which is that when you greet someone, if they're within like 3 degrees of you, like I think that's the unofficial rule. I don't know where the line is, but there definitely is a line. You do the kiss cheek thing, the
Hmm.
double, and like you have to
On
do this
both
like
cheeks.
hug, yeah, and usually like it ranges between like a I'm just kissing next to your cheek, like to like a full on, and it's like really invasive in my opinion. Like, why? Okay, suddenly this older relative is like kissing. I don't know what's going on here, but it's not someone that you actually would want to do that with, like to be that, like show this level of affection. Like, I don't want to kiss you romantically, but like I give you love, right?
Mhm.
It was never taught as like a sense of like the love of family to me. It was back to that this is what we do
Mhm.
instead of this is where how we show that we have deep affection, which is interesting because now I do that to my grandma and I literally do it to nobody else because
Mhm.
that like I talk to my grandma every night. Well, she calls me every night. um Sometimes she calls me and I don't pick up and she goes, "Where are you? Where have you been?" I was like, "I was in the kitchen. My phone was charging. It's fine." Um, but like, yeah, and then like it's really interesting because my husband lived in Japan for a while, and female friends hold hands, but you do not hold hands with your romantic partner in public.
Mhm.
Like, super different. And yeah, I think it is very Western. And I would like us to start hugging our friends more.
Yeah.
And holding hands. I feel like that's another thing that kind of also has played into a lot of depression and feeling of aloneness within the Western society. I mean, of course, it got worse during the pandemic, but
Well,
you
I
know
mean,
that
of
we,
course, there's a lot of depression because in the West, it's like beaten into our heads that every man for
yeah,
himself, pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
yeah,
Can't trust nobody. The only way you're gonna make it in this world is if you work hard enough by yourself. It's a very individualistic
right,
uh, train of thought
yes,
when we should be working together. You know.
exactly. And I think the fact that we don't encourage this friend developing these deep friendships and things like that, and being close with our friends. Um, and being able to express that in a physical manner. And I'm just talking about holding hands and like freaking giving hugs, right? Like it sounds like
Mhm.
this deep thing, but it's like it's not. It's putting your hand on their shoulder when you're consoling them or whatever. Um, and I think especially this, I'm gonna harp on this one. With guys, I know my husband has struggled deeply with this. And even recently was like, I don't know how to social people, and I was like, well, this is appropriate for the workplace and this is not.
Mhm.
And like I feel like if we were more encouraged to display affection toward even our fellow man, um that we would feel less alone, less solitary, and be able to learn to trust people with more because of that. So
Right.
there you go, there's our TED talk. Everyone go hug your friends.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely see that with the men. Like, it's super hard. Like, I don't know. I hug everyone, like regardless of gender, but I think a lot of people like find it weird for like men to hug, and then like in Greek culture, it's like men will greet each other and like kiss each other on both cheeks. So
Yeah,
it's
Mhm.
that's I actually my husband's best friend of probably like 15, 20 years is actually in the States now. They used to he's from another continent. Yeah, another continent actually. And he was in England for a while, and now he went back and to his home, and he's visiting here. So they actually haven't seen each other since like before me and my husband got married. And I was like, "Oh my god, are you so excited? Like I can't wait." And we were talking about him, and I don't know how it came up, but I was like, "Do you guys like? Are you like? I can't wait to see you guys. You're probably gonna like attack each other and like hug or whatever like that." I think that's what I said, and he was like, "No, we don't really hug." I was like, "You don't hug your best friend in 15 years? Are you sure you're best friends? Like, not that you have to, but my husband is a physically affectionate person." I was just like, "What are you doing?"
Mhm.
It makes it hard. It makes you feel alone, and I know that's very much discouraged for within the macho male culture. Hopefully, the Gen Zs will dismantle all that patriarchy bullshit. Anyway, Hermes.
yeah.
All right, I'll put our 15 on Hermes. I thought Hermes was really short. I feel like Hermes got shipped. I'm gonna be honest. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like, but I love that they went straight into the Herms. Like, Um, I also feel bad. Like Hermes is Hermes, the divine trickster. I'm like, really? He's got a whole messengering job, like a big important role in Olympus, and everyone's like, he's a trickster.
Yeah, he's like it's so strange when people not people, but just like because I read a lot of stuff about Hermes and I read like web pages, articles, what have you, and I can kind of tell if it's going to be a good and informative article or just some like synopsis of the god if all they have to say about him is he's the god of tricksters, trade, and cattle. Because there's a lot more to him than
Yeah,
cattle and like animal husbandry. Like
is
there's so much. Do they talk about Hermas in
yeah they
the?
do. Like they
Okay,
literally
good.
that's like I think a good chunk of it. Hold on, I forgot that. I forgot the cattle. Um, cattle, animal husbandry. I feel like that falls in
Horse,
Aphrodite or Demi or I don't know, something like that. I spelled cattle wrong. I spelled it with a
male
K and I forgot the
fertility,
E.
dreams and sleep. Like he
I
I
could see
think
dreams and sleep
what
under the
is it?
messengering stuff. Totally.
Yeah,
It
prophetic dreams.
doesn't.
Like but before Hypnos, I think.
Oh,
Before Hypnos became more
prolific.
commonplace. Oh, but just both sleeping and dreams, and then like prophetic,
Prolific. Divine. I'm just gonna go with divine.
yeah.
I could see that because that definitely super falls under messaging. Like,
And it's like before.
can you
I
imagine
think
Hermes
I don't know
vortex?
if I've got this right, but before Hypnos became like an established diamond or god or however you want to
Yeah.
address him as, Hermes was like the god of sleep. And so it's a little crazy that they kind of you know kind of minimize him. Like he literally was given offerings in gyms before wrestling matches, and like there's a lot more than just
Yeah.
three aspects.
I love that I love that Hermes was like, yo, I got too much on my plate. Can we get someone just take the sleep? Like I need an intern. Is this why I don't get good sleep? Oh, languages and communications for sure. Yeah. Just being the
Yeah,
messenger deity has already so much to it. Like the fact like I feel like Hermes was like, oh, everyone thinks I'm like not like a big deal. I'm gonna bet like
like I'm going
I'm
to
gonna
show
do it
them,
all. Yeah.
and it's like
He was like, today was not the day, but I am the one. So, um, yeah, I didn't know he also has to do with fire and fire sticks and like general thing, but I guess the sacrificing makes sense because I feel like he would take sacrifices to the gods.
hmm
Does
And
that make sense?
I heard somewhere offhand someone described him as the most human of the gods, and I think they said that because um what did they say? It was like I think he mentioned how it was uncommon for uh, a demigod, or like I don't know if the demigod is the right word, but a son of Zeus
Yeah.
to become a full fledged god. And I think also because a lot of his aspects relate to how humans lived back then.
Yeah,
I'm
the
not
human
totally sure.
realm.
Uh huh.
So he has the you know what? Oh my god, he's like Q from Star Trek.
I have
He
never
hangs
seen
out with
Star Trek.
humans and therefore he's the human expert. Speaking of which, there's a Star Trek convention next week in Las Vegas. I desperately want to go to. Speaking of
Oh.
Q, it's so expensive. Hermes, help me! Um, I need money. Also, as well with Hermes is money and like entrepreneurship, and I don't 100% know
Mm-hmm.
why. I'm gonna be honest. I just know that that's one of his things. Um,
I guess because the aspect of trade, I guess.
well, isn't he?
Goods and services.
Yeah, merchant. Isn't he the god of merchants?
Yeah, merchants and trade and roads. and travel, and
Yeah, well, yeah, of course, travel, roads travel. Hermes needs to take a chill pill.
he needs
Dio,
a
He does too
break.
much.
yeah, he does too much. He needs more interns. I'm not calling him an intern. I'm just being funny. And that was less to the audience and more to them. But yeah, okay. So, and is a figure. I love this of ever changing colors. I don't even know. The only thing that makes sense to me in that now that we've talked about it is like different facets and different jobs, maybe. I don't know.
Mhm.
So I love it. But his name, which is explained with fair certainty, points to one single phenomenon, Herma, which is apparently a heap of stones, like a monument set up as they say as an elementary form of democration, which I have no idea what that means.
I love Herma. I love Herma. I don't know how much
Those
they
are the
talk about it
Herms,
in the
right?
book. Huh?
Is the Herma the Herms?
I
Is it
assume that is the same. That is the same
I
because
think it's the
I've heard
same.
them be called different things. But I
I
think
think yeah.
what
I
page are
think
you
it's the
on? Because
same.
I want to read where I kind of want to read what
It's
they say
221,
before.
bottom of 221. Or you can just look at the stream.
Oh, squint. Okay.
Yeah, so it's Herma the heap of stones right here. So in this way, territories are proclaimed and whatever. Another form of territorial democration, older than man itself, is phallic display, which is then symbolically replaced by erected stones or stakes. To this extent, stone cairn, I don't know, and fallows have always gone together. Stones and the dicks. I don't know. I feel
The
like
way you
we're
just
going
skipped
really.
over the word.
Yeah, I just nope. Just nope. The power and count. I don't even know what Karen is. We have to look that up. Hold on. Yeah, I'll just be like, I got the point from. Oh, here's a great picture right here. Oh, it's just a giant heap of stones, a landmark. That's super cool.
Mm-hmm. They're also the statues. They also
Yeah, the
talk about
Herm.
in the yeah.
We
I
have
think it's
those in the
so.
Minecraft server.
Oh, that's so cool! But I think it's so cool.
Yeah, we do. We have them in the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's really cool, and the first time it was there, Melissa had just made one early when the server was first made, and I went and I was like, and I knew nothing about Minecraft, and I went, "What's this?" Click. Ah! I broke it, and then Melissa goes, "You know that's bad luck," and I was like, "Why didn't you tell me?"
Oh no!
Fix it. And I did. And apparently, when people would go buy them, this is not the book. This is from what I have heard from the server. That they would touch the phallic objects as like good luck.
Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna like info dump.
Oh, please.
So they would be also used as to mark borders, which I thought was very interesting. They would have phallic like imagery on them. One because Hermes is also the god of male fertility, and also penises could like erect penises could also be seen as like a way to keep people out. So to speak. I don't know the wording.
I mean,
But
I feel
because
like if you did that, if you covered your doorway in your house with like pictures of dicks, I feel like that would still keep everyone out.
well, yeah, but the idea was to like symbolize power and like strength. And I think it's interesting.
I feel that comes from misogynistic roots.
Yeah, probably, but but
Too
I
funny
think
now.
it's also interesting because the Herma, the statues, they would depict Hermes as his older self with like, oh, the time is going out.
That's okay.
As his older self with like a beard and stuff. When in art, he would be depicted as younger male. So
A
that
what?
was very interesting. a younger male, like
No. What was the word for it? An irk?
a what?
What you said the older male versus the younger male. What were the two words for those? Herm and what?
Oh no. I was just saying the
Sorry.
Hermes. They would depict the statues would depict Hermes as an older male with a beard. While in art, like paintings and stuff, they would depict him as a younger male, no beard, you know,
Oh, you
athletic.
said art.
Yeah,
Got
yeah, art.
it. Yeah, and actually the whole thing with like the male fertility even makes sense because I mean, frankly, if anyone had to do as many jobs as Hermes did, they would be ripped as fuck. That like just they would be so ripped, and like I mean, could you imagine? So I totally feel that as well, and that makes total sense. Um, again with the duality aspect of like all of the gods, just loving it. Okay, just to quickly go through Hermes, although Demeter frankly doesn't have a lot of her section was about her daughter, which I was really sad about.
Oh my god, can I say one more thing? I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, go.
So I think it's very interesting that they put Aphrodite like Hermes after Aphrodite, but don't even mention Hermaphroditus. Cause
You're right.
it's missed opportunity.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
there's a
it's a huge
section
missed
for
opportunity.
smaller deities though. I think I scrolled past it earlier today. So I don't know if Hermaphroditus is mentioned in there, but I would imagine it might be the section that they would be. We shall see. And these are also great notes. If you wouldn't mind typing that in the notes so that if this actually eventually becomes like a study guide, which is what we're hoping to do with this, then that can be something that we add into the study guide, right? So
Yeah.
Good point there. I love they mentioned that a thief may invoke Hermes unashamedly while stealing, which was not seen as wickedness, but the unexpected good fortune. I don't know that I agree with that, but that's hilarious. Hermes is also a giver of good. Every lucky find is a Hemerion. Yeah. I didn't know about the chthonic Hermes though. That was interesting. That he
Yeah.
that he also escorts souls.
That's why he's considered a chthonic deity, because he like makes regular like round trips to the underworld.
But isn't he also Uranic? Because he's
He is also
main
ironic, yeah.
Yeah, I
again
think
with that
some
element.
people consider him both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought he was Uranic. I feel like we're just playing patty cake when we're doing our prayers. Like, up, down, up, down, up, down. But I mean, and that's a fun way to point. I mean, again, just we just keep coming into this multiple. And I think that's always been the thing that I've loved most about the Greek pantheon is that they're all so multifaceted and clearly not just this linear. This is deity. Everything's perfect. You know, they're very human in a way. In that way. I did not know that graves were in his care as well. That makes total sense with the cathonicness. I was always confused about the herald staff because isn't that also the one that we use for like medical shit now?
Yeah, it's
Like
very strange.
I never quite understood that. But I mean, if you look at it in the sense of the chthonic Hermes, I guess it kind of does make sense because like they're trying to help people not be messengered to the underworld. I don't know.
But it's also like I've seen the rod of Asclepius on like transportation. So it's
Yes.
like I definitely feel like those should be switched around.
I feel like they went and were like, hey, let's just confuse the shit out of everybody. Cool,
Yeah.
dude. Trade you. And later they mention Mercury is the god of trade and commodities. with a bulging money bag in his hand was a purely it says it was. I feel like Asher would have something to say on this. Was a purely Roman metamorphosis of Hermes, and I was like, what? Because I'm pretty sure that the Roman deities, although the names do tend to get, which is what I do, I'm just like interchangeable. But I know that there is actually a Roman pantheon, that these deities are not the same. That's what I know. I'm not familiar with the Roman pantheon, as detailed. More of the Greek and just the Roman names, but I know that those are different deities. So like I know this text is a little old too. We went over him stealing the thing. Yeah, it was like the very last sentence of that. So, all right, Demeter, who I think may have had like, if you took all the stuff about Persephone out, I feel like she's the shortest one.
Yeah, a lot of it was just Persephone.
I was kind of fucking annoyed at that. So Demeter also Demeter. You say it, Menelaus. I know that you say it like that. Say Demeter's name.
If you want me to say it fancy or like regular, fancy is Demeter.
Yeah, that's the word.
Is like Demeter.
Yeah. That's just they gave her name, and I was like, this doesn't roll off my tongue. And as her, I don't understand why they said as her name betrays. Does that mean that, are they just saying that like her name says, she's a mother? I don't know. But I love that they said exactly what kind of mother remains a mystery.
Like, what does that mean? Like,
I had no idea. I feel like it was so open-ended.
I guess if she was like a kind parent or like whatever.
Yeah, I feel like
strange.
That's why I don't love the fact that they made the emphasis on Persephone on a little bit on this, because there's been different, like, of course we see, I'm going to bring it up just because I know it's annoying, but we see, God damn it, Lore Olympus.
Please, no, I thought I could escape it.
No, but we see in Lore Olympus, she's portrayed as this very, like, possessive mom that is almost obsessively possessive of her daughter, right? And to me, Demeter has never been anything other than like mildly fucking annoyed at her daughter's choice in husbandry, but more of a loving figure in my relationship with Demeter. So it's very interesting seeing that and that's where I was kind of going with this empty, open-ended statement here. Like, are they meaning like and to be fair, there's no reason you can't be both, or any other type of mother. But then they went way into the harvesting thing, so I definitely want to jump in that one. So they say the interpretation. There's an interpretation as Earth Mother, and there's also an interpretation of there's a Corn Mother. So maybe that's what they're talking about. I don't know. The food of men is known in the epic formula as the groats of Demeter. So all like food and everything. We got a vocabulary word about harvesting corn in Cyprus is dramatrizen. I'm not good. That was terrible. I'm sorry. I apologize to whatever language that's in. I don't know if Cyprus has a different dialect than like traditional, like ancient Greece. But I love that they went. Let me see. I don't find it, but I put it in the notes. It says it was a simple step for Demeter and her daughter to be used as metonyms, which I didn't know was a word before. Corn and flour, because that makes total sense. Because we can make flour out of corn.
Oh,
right? And like, right? I thought that was super cool. I was like, oh, so technically, burritos are in honor of Demeter.
So true.
I mean, we could though. It's all food, like it says, and we can say thanks to Demeter for food. And specifically that being a representation of her and her daughter. So, I was interested, and I'd never heard of this before. Mythology tells of Pluto's wealth is Demeter's son sired on thrice plowed cornfield. The wealth is the store of the corn, just as the treasury, whatever, is the granary. So that
Are
took
they
me to get.
trying to like compare Pluto to Demeter, or are they like
I
that's
think
such
they're
a
trying to
confusing
say.
sentence.
I don't understand that is
Wow.
Demeter's son sired on thrice plowed cornfield. But I think what they're trying to say is that the wealth of Pluto is represented in the store of the corn, which is in the treasury, the granary, and the treasury, the thing that holds it, is the granary, which is of course interconnection to Demeter and Pluto, because wealth falls under Hades'
Oh,
domain.
I understand.
Got
Okay,
it. So
thank you
like
very
they're
much.
basically that Pluto and Demeter are connected through the through their connection of the ground and things growing from the ground.
Yes. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah,
Wow.
I love that connection actually between hate. I don't feel like Demeter hates or is like, because it's always portrayed as like Demeter is like mad at Hades because Hades stole Persephone, blah blah
Yeah, that's
blah.
definitely just like Greek myth, grain of
But
salted. Like, I
yeah,
think they're cool.
I
Yeah,
think
no,
they're pretty cool. It's just like, you took my daughter away from me, so
I,
I
f- I,
kind of
f-
hate you. Just a
I
little
feel
bit.
like that's one thing that I've noticed, like in the server, we get a lot with from like people that are like first reading the myths, that they'll think that like, oh, these two gods must not like each other because of X, Y, Z in the myth, and therefore I can't worship both of them at the same time, and that's definitely not the case. Like you
Oh
can worship
yeah.
both of them at the same time, and I would even go further and say none of the gods hate each other in real life.
No, I don't think
No.
it's like hate the way we think with the way, like we were talking about Hera about that last week. And it's like, as the fact that like Hera's like, I don't think, and according, if you look at it from the myth, she never actually like does anything terrible to like the kids. She
Debatable.
tests them. Well, we were talking about like how it's her role to protect Olympus, her
Yeah,
family,
yeah.
so they have to prove themselves,
Uh-huh.
that they're worthy, and like she's not just punishing them; she's putting them through trials and shit. So,
Mm-hmm.
but similarly, like Demeter and now Hades. I mean, Demeter and Hades were tied together long before Persephone came along, because the things go in the ground, which is Hades' domain, to grow,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think that's what they might be alluding to. This is that the wealth in the case of the air in case of how Hades and Demeter are combined or connected is that the wealth is the corn, or I don't, if you've seen Pocahontas, which is the terriblest reference, but like the gold is the corn. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if anyone remembers that scene. Where what's his name was like, Smith was like, we're looking for yellow gold, and she's like, oh, here, corn, and he's like, that's not what I was talking about. Because that was treasure. Like if you think about like harvesting, that shit was hard. And they had to get through the winter, so that food was like precious.
It makes me remember. I remember learning that I don't know if this is true for all native peoples in the
By the way,
Americas, but
I
I
don't
remember.
I don't say that movie is in any way a decent representation
Oh
of the
no, definitely not.
at all.
It just
No, it was just a really good scene that I wanted to bring up.
no, I know. It just made me remember because I learned that the three I forget what they call it, but the three ladies, I think, or like the
Oh, the moray.
no,
The
it
no.
I forget what they call it, but it's like the big three like foods.
Oh, foods.
Yeah, it was for Native some of the Native American like tribes was beans, potato, and
Hmm.
corn
Hmm.
because they were easy to grow, and
They're very healthy for you.
very healthy and would like last long. And so that's what it
Hmm.
makes me think of.
Yeah, exactly. And these things were very precious to them.
Hmm.
Uh, so that would be I could see definitely that would be considered their wealth. And I mean, I love food to an obscene degree. Like I have made people uncomfortable when I eat food sometimes. um, for my birthday, my husband years ago took me to. Actually, they both took me to separate birthdays. Just to like different steak places. That's pretty much the thing that people do for my birthday. We take me to eat steak. Because I love meat so
That
much.
separate birthdays. That's so fun.
Oh, it's like one year I got to go to like one place, and the next year, my boyfriend took me to a different place. That then my husband took me the previous year, and I was like, "This is the best." And the first year that my husband took me, he like very specifically got us a table in like the corner, so that I wouldn't have to like hold back my like.
Oh my god! So you wouldn't freak the
Like
kid out on
yes, I
table
would. I
4.
wouldn't. I wouldn't weird out anybody.
That's
Food
so
is very
nice.
precious to me, and I can understand why it would be so fucking important to other people that it is considered wealth.
Uh-huh.
And let's be honest, even today, even in oh, my heart hurt. I mean, I hurt my own feelings. It's been a habit lately, apparently. So that even in like the U.S., which is supposedly a first world country, we have people who are literally going hungry,
Mhm.
and food is the the most amazing like to them that's sacred. um so hurting my own feelings and calling out the US. They also this the granary, then they mentioned about core, which is the girl, is so intimately associated with her mother to me that they're often referred to simply as the two goddesses or even Demetres, which I didn't know actually. I mean, mother and daughter joined at the hip. I'd love to see a nice representation of Persephone and Demeter's relationship. I'm just saying. If anyone wants to write anything.
Yeah,
They talk about
please.
Persephone a lot.
I'm begging you.
I
Write
know,
something
right?
different. Make up a new myth.
Where's Serge? Can we get Serge on this, please? Um, so Korra's own enigma, whatever name is Persephone or Persephone. And I just want to mention that with her, the epithets that were mentioned are venerable. I can't say these words; they are hard. Venerable, agwe. I'm dying, Menelaus. Please, for the love of all things,
Where,
good and holy, please.
where
I
are you?
highlighted it in the notes. I highlighted it in the notes.
Notes. Venerable Agave and awesome Epineta. So it's Agave and Epineta. Yeah. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
know if she can. But... Veronica?
Victoria.
Oh my god, I'm so fucking sorry. I'm so sorry. Victoria? Can you hear us? My god. I think stream died.
Did it?
Yeah, because Victoria isn't saying any, or maybe she's JFK. I'm not totally sure.
No, I muted my mic like an idiot, guys, when I was taking a drink because I didn't want the clanging of my glass.
Uh-huh.
That's why you couldn't hear me. Because I actually could mute it from the mic itself. So when I'm going for a drink, I just click the button and like drink and like put it down. I forget sometimes.
Mhm.
Oh, here we go. Her two aspects: girl-like daughter of the corn goddess and the mistress of the dead. I love that. Whatever. And they're saying anyway. So they're saying are linked in the myth, which blah 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 blah. We know the story. But it's that myth is basically responsible for exclusively for defining the picture of Demeter is basically the main point of that. And yes, it is. And we're gonna skip that whole thing because we've all heard it 300 times. I mean, there's a lot of debates about it too. Okay. I did like that they said this. Since antiquity, the myth has been understood as a piece of transparent nature allegory. Again, going back to that, the corn in the ground, which is related, of course, to Demeter and Hades. And then Kor is the corn, Persephone is the corn, which then must descend into the earth so that from seeming death, new fruit may germinate. Her ascent is the seasonal return of the corn, quote, when the earth blooms with spring flowers. The only problem with it is that they even mentioned it doesn't work with the farming calendar. But I like the analogy though. I thought that was a really cool analogy. Any thoughts on the whole thing with Persephone, Demeter before we go to the before we go to the reference of Inanna? Let me just find that. Did I spell Inanna right? I spelled it entirely wrong. Two N's in the wrong place. Here it is. So they're saying that the motive of the disappearing and returning of a deity with the cessation of all the vegetation and sexuality and the endangering of all life and the blah 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 blah. The Greek myth seems to combine the two. Kor, Persephone, descends into the underworld like Inanna, and Demeter disappears in a rage like Telepinu? I don't know.
Jalapeno.
Okay, I wasn't terribly wrong. And I know nothing about Inanna, or I know nothing about these two, but they keep that's a reoccurring theme, of course, that we see is these similar deities and similar stories. And so I bring in the question again, as we had asked in I think one of the previous streams: the chicken or the egg? Are they the same, or do you guys think that they are just so similar because of similar needs like food and shit?
I think they're the same, but they're different cultural interpretations of the same deity.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think too. Which I think is very interesting.
I think it is. Yeah, I agree. It is very interesting. I could totally see that, and I also agree with that. I would say in my practice, but I also do think that there are different pantheons. So I haven't really reconciled that myself. Um, but let's see. I love the phrase that they use. The role of Hades is ambivalent. The core carried away to marriage, to death, or both at once. What do you guys think? Was Persephone carried away to marriage, or to death, or both?
What do you mean by death? Like,
I don't know. That's just what they
She's
said.
a goddess, so
I don't know, man. That's what they said. And I literally copied out let me see if there's anything more in that one section. Okay, here it is. To be carried off by Hades and to celebrate marriage with Hades become common metaphors of death, especially of girls. At bottom, the myth does not speak of a cycle either. Things will never be the same as they were before the eep for trigger warning people. I don't know how to cover it. I'm just gonna scroll down. I don't know how to cover that for trigger warning people. That was I know that's so anyway, that's the context again. There's also a sentence later. A dimension of death is introduced into life, and a dimension of life is introduced into death. And so that's all I got. Thoughts? Did Persephone die, or did she just get married, or did she do both?
I don't know. I don't think what. Oh, sorry. You go first.
Oh no, you go, please.
I was gonna say I don't know what death really means for a god. So
Yeah.
That is a good point. What does it mean? Does it even matter at all?
In my honest opinion, I feel like this is gonna be like a shit answer, but this is kind of my answer for all the things I can't explain, unless I want to think too hard about it. But I feel like they just needed an explanation for why winter is a thing, and someone to be the queen of the underworld.
Probably.
I don't understand the death part, but she definitely did not go to die.
Well, I've seen Persephone shown as like half skeleton, half thing, like as to show her duality. Not necessarily that she looks like that, but there is a darker side to Demeter, and also darker side to Persephone, and also a dark Demeter, because as we know in the story, she gets super pissed. And part of harvest is that a lot of the plants die. In fact, I don't remember what it's called, but they would be like, it's a 4-quadrant way of doing planting and harvesting, where you always have one that's not doing anything, so that it replenishes with the minerals as like weather happens. Because if you're constantly farming on every plot, it loses all of its minerals and nutrition for the plants, and it won't grow anything. So there has to be one that's dead, one that's just thing. And of course, there's a lot of plants that I remember when I was a kid, when I learned the word perennials and annuals, and I was like, I did not know there were flowers that did not come back. What? Right? So, but that's a thing, right? So, but
I feel even if they have darker sides, they aren't necessarily negative, you know.
No, darker does not mean negative. Absolutely.
I know, yeah. But it's just like, you know, just because this so-called horrible thing happened doesn't mean she's been going off to her death sentence or whatever. It's just, and even with like shit dying, like how do you say, crops dying, like that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, right?
No, it's not. Exactly. They have to die so that the earth.
Yeah, they have to die. So it's just, there's probably. I really don't want to do the Christian cop out. There's always a reason for something, but I feel like there is a reason that I just have not thought of yet.
And that's the thing, we don't know. All of this, we get what we can, like this exact thing. What we're doing, we get what we can from the historical data and what has survived. But the fact of the matter is, there's so much of this, and frankly, so much of fucking life. We're all in this philosophical like ball hurtling through the universe together, right? And we don't, like, we understand things, but not everything. And even though we understand it, it does not take away from the uniqueness, divinity, or magic of it. And I mean, as someone who has a boyfriend who's really into science, I've never felt so stupid. So there's a lot, I think, that people were trying to explain and we don't understand. And I really want to go back to that point that dark does not mean bad.
Right.
Because I feel like that's one of the reasons that Hades gets shit on a lot. Because they're like, oh, and frankly, I'm much more okay with dying now that I've, become a Hellenist. I'm like, yeah.
Exactly. I feel like at least modern Hellenism, how do you call it? Reconstructionism has helped me feel much more okay with the thought of death. And
Mm-hmm.
even like, so my aunt died recently, and it's helped me
Condolences.
really like, thank you. It's helped me really, cope with the fact that hey, she might be gone, but that's just how things work. That's how these things are, and it's better to learn to be okay with it than to think, oh my god, I should have done this, I should have said this. Where was I going with this? I wanted to say something else. Oh, and I feel like we don't or this is my thought anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily need to understand why things work or why things do this or why things do
Yeah.
that, because I feel like I take a philosophy class because it's like required, but and the teacher
Awesome.
keeps.
I'm doing the daily Stoic journal, and it hurts my feelings every day.
What is the Daily Stoic? I see that in the pin channel, but I
It's
don't know what that is.
it's this one guy. I can't remember his name actually. It wasn't really that important to me. But he just got super groovy into Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism, and he did this whole big thing on it. And he's written like a ton of books, and they have a
Mm-hmm.
journal for the Daily Stoic, but they also have a podcast, which I highly recommend for the weekdays. The weekdays are 10 to 15 minutes, and I really enjoy them. That's why they're in the channel. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and also Stoicism is also part of Greek philosophy. And if there are any other Greek philosophy like YouTube channels, please let me know so I can throw them in there, because I feel like Stoicism has kind of taken over that a little bit.
That's
Um,
very cool.
it is very. I have to say, it has really helped me, and I and,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's really helped not only as a philosophy, but in the fact that we are Hellenists, and this is, as you said, you're taking a philosophy class. It's very relevant to our
Right.
practice. So please continue taking a philosophy class.
Yeah. But it's just like the teacher. I'm not shitting on the teacher because you can tell he's like really passionate about what he does, but he's always trying to like promote us to think and to try and answer these how do you say
Big questions.
these I like my brain is stuck in Spanish right now. I'm super sorry. Like deep
Okay.
questions. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and having to like find an answer to these and like, well, is this a good answer? Is this answer logically sound? And it's just like I feel like sometimes we don't need an answer. 'Cause
Yeah.
if we think about something too hard, we become obsessive, and it's just. And I'm not saying saying this as an ex Christian, you go, well, don't question anything and believe every myth in the Bible as gospel. Like I'm not saying that. Like of course, think for yourself and how do I say
Yes.
this? Like think for
Have
yourself and
critical thinking.
critical thinking, yes, and
Yes.
shoot for like the pursuit of knowledge, but also not everything has to have an answer, and that's okay,
Yeah.
you know. And
And
just
I do
because
feel
something
like
doesn't have an answer doesn't mean it's fake or whatever. It's
it
just
doesn't lose any inherent value just because you don't understand.
exactly like not everything has to have a scientific or ethical or moral like conclusive answer. Just
Yes.
as long as it's bettering you as a person and it has some sort of value to you personally and it's not hurting any other people, it's fine. That's how I feel.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't need to have an answer, and there isn't necessarily a good or bad. It's just it is what it is, which is frankly
Mm-hmm.
a lot of what Stoicism is. But I did want to touch on this one last thing, which I'm again offended by the fact that this did not get more attention. The festivals, because
Oh,
because
yeah.
Elysia, where? Hold on, let me look at my calendar. Eleusinian? I don't fucking know. It's the Eleusinian. It's fucking Demeter and Persephone's week. Jesus. um, literally August through. Oh, actually, oh, we missed it. I feel bad about not scheduling anything for that now. So it was this week was one of the holidays, the festivals for Demeter and Persephone. I think it's a smaller one though. And so they did actually mention a couple of the festivals, Thesmorphia.
Oh my god.
It's okay. This festival of the Society of Women with a particular sacrifice in which pigs are sunk in underground pits. They had smoked pig. That's what they had. They had smoked pig. I'm very jealous. So there's festival. There's also the festival of Advent, Cataract, with men who lead Persephone. The Advent maybe blah blah blah. So there's this whole section on the holidays here. Which it was saying the most famous of which was the cult of Ulysses. Am I saying these right, Menelaus? I feel like I'm fucking them up.
Ulysses, but yeah, you're good.
Yes, I'm getting the hang of it. So I mean, yeah, it tells a little bit about the mysteries, but honestly, not nearly as much as I would have expected, considering they did cover the mystery in a previous section. But I just wanted to mention that there's a little bit in here. And then I wanted to also bring up that the Athenians, I don't remember where it was, but that the Athenians called the dead Demitreoi. That was my answer to that.
Dimitri.
Oh, thank you. Demitreoi?
Yep.
Well, that's no wonder I didn't get that. I got confused by the eyes. And they put corn on the graves, which I think is really great way of recycling.
Mm-hmm.
And death into life and all that stuff as we were talking about before. One thing I wanted to note too, they mentioned that Demeter too is therefore a chthonic goddess.
Oh,
which I never thought of.
That's very
Right?
interesting. I like that.
Yeah, because it says when the myth founds is a double existence between life, the upper world, and the underworld. A dimension of death is introduced into life, and dimension of life is introduced into death. Demeter, too, is therefore a chthonic goddess.
Wow.
What was that thing the Joker said? I can't remember. It just, hey,
We live in a
you're
society.
supposed to jump on the thing that I gave you, not my computer. Tempo. Oh my god. Okay, sorry, my cat was about to knock over my computer. You were saying, Legend?
We live in a society, or is it a different one?
No, it's on page 299. It is the very top, like.
Oh no, you were talking about the Joker about what he said, and I was like,
What does he say in that when he's talking to Harley Quinn before she becomes Harley Quinn? He's doing the little rants. He's like this into that and that into this. I don't remember. It just really sounded like this whole section of a dimension of life is introduced, a dimension of death is introduced into life, and dimension of life is introduced into death.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. In fact, I intend to copy it out. So much. And on that, we're going to talk a lot about duality with Dionysus next week.
Yes.
We got section 2.10. I feel like, how long is this section? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pages. I don't know. I feel like we could go like a whole hour on Dionysus alone. Should we also include Hephaestus 2.11? That's
yeah.
Hephaestus only gets like 2.5 pages. What a rip! Aww.
Same with Ares right after. He's got like 2 pages.
Man, that's such a rip.
That's so sad.
All right,
they're like shortchanging these gods. It's so upsetting.
Oh. Okay, so 2.10 to 2.12. If we get to Hephaestus and Aries, we do. If we don't, we'll do it the week after. I just feel like there's going to be so much with Dionysus, and then we're just going to bring so much to the table, Hephaestus and Aries, that it might turn into two different things. But then that's the end of like all of that whole section of the individual gods. Then we go, right to the remainder of our gods and things like that. So yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks guys for joining, and
Thank you.
Thank you.
this was so much fun.
Yeah, I like this.
I like this too. That's why I keep doing it. All right. Bye everyone.
Take
And for
care.
anyone watching later, please welcome the comments. We do look at them, whether it's on Twitch or YouTube. So bye.
Bye.
I'm waiting as if somebody can see me.
I'm also waiting.